Abdul Ahad Patel, Beyond the Canvas. Some men are drawn to comfort, others are drawn to challenge. Today's guest has spent years pursuing discipline through competition, pressure and constant self-development. From rugby fields to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu mats, amateur MMA competition and even archery, his journey reflects a mindset built on resilience, precision and composure under pressure. A martial artist, a competitor, a student of control in chaotic environments. Today's guest, welcome, Hassan Patel.
Bro.
Walaikum salam.
How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, I'm alright. A lot, obviously, you know me and you, bro. We've always got a lot going on, haven't we? Our own challenges, busy lives, little ones, family responsibilities, religious responsibilities. But yeah, man. Just sometimes it's nice to just sit down and have a conversation with somebody and just forget about everything else.
How do you balance that for people that's listening? You've obviously got the responsibilities of family, religious obligations, work. You've got a little one as well. How do you balance all of that and then stay active in the combat world with jiu-jitsu, with archery, with gym and fitness? How do you balance all of that?
So, from being a Muslim, we structure our day. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm not a saint, and I could be a better person within my religion, our deen, Islam. And alhamdulillah, we always have to our parents remembering us, the importance of religion and deen. And we try and build our lifestyle based around Islam, and structure our lives around. That's what we have. The salah, like our prayers, we pray 5 times a day, so we can structure our lifestyle and our day-to-day activities around our prayers. For example, I know you do it, I do it. Like right now, it's summertime, Fajr, the first salah, first prayer of the day. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning at the moment, isn't it? And for me and for you, and I know you've been doing this a while now, like on our days off, like we start with salah, prayer, and then we try and just get on with our day, and that whether that be running errands for the family or around the house, or is it like self-development in terms of training. And I know, like for me, training plays a big role in my life, and I know you've got your writing as well. But it's for me, it's early morning is tackling everything that I need to accomplish in that day. Then this is a day off, man. This is not even a working day.
Yeah.
And then following on from that, I can give my time to my family. Whether it be if the wife's working, then look, making sure Hannah's okay. Alhamdulillah, my mum, she helps out a lot. So it's like taking them out for, like, my little one loves going out for like coffee and croissant.
Yeah.
But she probably gets that off my mum. My mum loves going to cafes and stuff. So that would be like my day off. You know what I mean? And then comes like the midday prayer. Hannah's at nursery, and then I get probably a bit of time for myself. And when I talk about my day to day, this is what it's been like as of recent. Do you know what I mean? And then Hannah will go to nursery. Right, I come home, whatever bits I got to do around the house. Like I bought a house back in September 2024, and I've just been on it ever since then.
Yeah.
And second fixes always take the longest, don't they? So there's a lot of second fixes that are still going on. So I get a couple of hours doing that, and that's like after Zohar. And then she finishes nursery, and then like, you know, fatherhood really starts in it.
Yeah,
they come home, keeping them busy, keeping them active. Like for me, I don't know if it's the same for you, and obviously Zach being my nephew as well, just keeping them active away from the screens. And it's like, I think we're quite fortunate because me and you, like we're very active individuals, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're not people who will just sit down and lounge around and watch TV and, you know, our little ones pick up those bad habits. It's like constantly doing things with them so we can develop them. And, you know, when they come to that age, whether it be martial arts or most importantly jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu, obviously we know this, it's a sunnah, isn't it, for us?
Explain what the sunnah is for those people that aren't listening. What is the
sunnah?
So
a sunnah is a practice or a following of what our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a following and a practice of what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions took part in. Correct me if I'm wrong. And within the sunnah sports, wrestling falls into that. So like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is majority grappling, will fall into that that category. You've got judo, you've got Olympic style wrestling, and you know all the other wrestling disciplines as well around that. But on top of that, you've got traditional archery, you've got horse riding, you've got swimming, and I think there might be one or running. There might be one or two that I've missed. But when I reflect on those sports, I don't know if you share the same views with me. These sports that our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam took part in and his companions, they were kind of the sports that taught them to survive. You know, during the time of the Prophet. And there's hadiths as well, like, you know, like the importance of archery. And to the nearest meaning, one of the hadiths that I remember to today was like the companions of the Prophet, they were practicing all their disciplines, whether it be sword fighting, horse riding, and he would stop and make salam to them and greet them and talk to them. But archery has a higher significance because when he came across his companions who were practicing archery, he never stopped to greet them. And they became upset and they asked the Prophet, why did you not greet us? And to the nearest meaning, the Prophet said to them, when you're practicing archery, it's as if you're praying. So I did not want to disturb you whilst you were praying. And his other, my father-in-law said this to me the other day as well. Because, you know, us men, we take a lot on and at times we suffer in silence. But he said to me, archery is the best cure to any illnesses, even so much like mental health. And it's very different. When I no longer compete in mixed martial arts no more. You know, I did that very early on. With yourself, we started our mixed martial arts journeys together. I picked up injuries and then I stopped and I decided that I just wanted to stick to jiu-jitsu, which is another conversation. But with archery, I find it clears my head and it gives me direction. I'm more focused. I even joked with my colleagues at work, because I'm a firearms officer in the police, and I tell them I have more enjoyment shooting a bow and arrow rather than a Glock or a G36. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes I'm a lot more direct at 20 meters as well. But yeah, in terms of archery, that's what it means to me. And if I can like push those kind of sports onto like my daughter and even jiu-jitsu, then, you know, it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing. But she always sees me practicing in the garden, and when I ask her who's a better archer, myself or my father-in-law, she always says me.
So, you know, traditionally you come from, and I know this because of our background, but you traditionally come from a sport and lifestyle where you competed in rugby, you played at quite a high level, club level, and what happened that you decided like rugby was no longer, you know, something you wanted to progress?
So I think for both of us, innit, like we grew up, like my dad got me, like my dad, as long as you know, they got us into combat sports at a very young age. You know, I started at India House, like alhamdulillah, my dad invested in me quite a bit, and I used to box at India House. But then, again, this is where religion comes into it as well. Like, you know, where we are in the UK, you know, our parents gave us as much as possible in it. We never had to, how can I say, like you see the brothers in Dagestan and the less fortunate countries, like the third world countries, all they know is fighting, don't they?
Yeah.
And that's their way out. Whereas alhamdulillah, like we were in the UK and there were other opportunities for us in terms of just fighting. But when, like coming back onto like the rugby and the combat sports, so my dad always got me into combat sports as a means of self-discipline. And then following on from that, I took a break from boxing because obviously education, without education, you ain't gonna achieve anything in life. Yeah. And, but it's not just education, it's being streetwise at the same time, growing up in the community. I then started playing rugby, and I played up at Matson. I'll correct you because I didn't play at a high level.
What?
I was athletic enough to play rugby, but I never...
You played for the first team though, didn't you?
A second,
okay. High-ish level.
So I played one or two seasons at Matson, and I love playing rugby, and I felt like I had the athleticism to play, but I probably didn't have the game IQ to carry on and take it to the next level. And I mean, when I played at Matson, like a couple of the guys who are at front line, they know me, and obviously they're now in jiu-jitsu, and their jiu-jitsu careers are, you know, they're doing very well in their jiu-jitsu careers and they're excelling. But I played alongside them, but they knew, like, I always felt quite uncomfortable because, you know, within this country, like rugby's a beautiful game. I still watch it right now, but from a club level, it can like the environment can be a bit difficult for a young Muslim individual. The culture, yeah, because a lot of the rugby clubs will have their clubhouses and alcohol will be involved. And to be fair, the guys who I played with always respected the fact that, you know, I was Muslim, and at no time did they make me feel uncomfortable with that culture or that lifestyle of the game. Like, I used to play, at the end of the game, I'd shower up and then that would be me done, and I'll go home and then we'll meet when it's training. Like, we used to train Tuesday, Thursday, throughout the week. But it didn't fit right with me. You know, it wasn't as much as I love the game and I tried to play it as well as possible. I just couldn't see myself moving any further within the sport, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it was at that point I took a break. I took a break from any competition or sporting competition, and then we were just training at that time at gymnasium. You know what I mean? Just building the foundations, like through your dad, my dad, like that old school generation bodybuilding down at gymnasium. So took a break from rugby, and then a couple of years after that, I decided to join Pro Systems MMA with you, with Antanas.
Sam Shoulder as well.
And Sam Shoulder, yeah. He's no longer with us now. Yeah, unfortunately. God bless his soul. But I think those early days of Pro Systems were real good. We had Matthew in there as well.
Yeah.
We had a lot of experience, but at the same time we were young and we were quite naive, and I felt going back then we had a bit more of an ego, and we were able to use that ego to like excel quite quickly within the sport. I mean, for you and for me, we both brought that athleticism with us, didn't we? Because for a short spell we played basketball. I played basketball with you for Gloucester prior to doing mixed martial arts, wasn't it? But yeah, they were good days, man. Pro Systems. I felt like within the early part of our so say like MMA career, mixed martial arts career, we picked up a lot, we learned a lot. But what was good is we were taught the foundations and the disciplines before moving on to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you transitioned from rugby, I know you said you had like a period of time where you wasn't doing anything, but I mean, I can see it, but I just wanted your perspective. A lot of guys that's coming into jiu-jitsu now that have a rugby background, they seem to excel very, very quick. And obviously they're not scared of getting, you know, involved and getting stuck in. Do you feel like there is transferable skills from like rugby into jiu-jitsu?
100%. I mean, one of the guys that I train with at the moment is an old work colleague of mine, a good friend, Fred Nottingham.
Yeah.
And Fred played rugby at a very high level at Newent, where he won quite a few at that level national champions and played at I think played at Twickenham quite a few times. And I can see like Fred used to play in the scrum.
Yeah.
He's a big boy, number 8, and I could see like just from that core foundation from rugby, like in the scrum, like and in like the positions in the ruck, he's able to hold those positions very well within jiu-jitsu, like those top pressures. And it's not even that, it's that fine balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's having that fine balance and also mobility. Along with that, he brings that cardio to it as well, and that fitness. But because of the way his body's probably developed as a rugby player, like he can develop and take his jiu-jitsu journey a lot further.
Yeah.
That's what I found. Like I rode with him quite a few times. Big, strong boy, very good top pressure, and I believe like he brings that game from his days of rugby, like where he's played in the forwards, in the packs. That like I'm not a rugby expert, but like I'm sure he's managed to bring those skills from all those years he's been playing as a forward.
There's definitely in it, because you look at the likes of Joe Payne, he's a blue belt at Frontline Jiu-Jitsu, Jack Agsey, who's another blue belt at Frontline Jiu-Jitsu. There's even a young boy who's 15, I believe, his name's Heath, and his brother, I think, played pro rugby at one point, and he plays rugby. And a lot of those guys have a very good mentality when it comes to jiu-jitsu. They've got very good resilience, and not only that, they're not scared of getting in and wrestling and using that sort of top pressure.
Not afraid of the contact.
Yeah. And also the ability to slow the game down as well. Like
take control.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes people come into jiu-jitsu, and because they don't have a background of combat or even a background of conflict, they go straight into this fight or flight mode. So it's like they're trying to win from the get-go. And jiu-jitsu is more about taking your time, pacing yourself, and being calculated in the decisions you make. So when I see the rugby guys and they're like playing the long game and they're using their ability to slow things down, I think there's definitely something in it where they transition very well into jiu-jitsu.
I remember doing like the summer training camps down at Matson, and again Joe Payne, I think Agsy coached quite a few years there as well. But why they're able to transition their game from rugby to jiu-jitsu is like what you just said, but also it's that core foundation that helps. I remember like the beastings they used to get during pre-season. You know, that interval training.
Like mountains and stuff.
Yeah. But also it's the mindset. I don't know Agsy that well, but from a rugby perspective, like his mindset of the game and his focus and determination is what got him to the next level. And as a professional athlete, he's been able to bring that into jiu-jitsu. And another person of similar characteristic is Luke Etheridge.
Over at Trojan.
Who used to train with down at range. But I knew Luke because I used to do a bit of weightlifting with him down at Sevenside, and everything he used to put his mind to, no matter what, he gave it 100% focus. And I remember him telling me, like, you need to be able to like envision something before you go and do it, because then you've already done it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which made sense and
That's
made it
great
a
advice.
lot easier when you came to doing it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly feel like a lot of these rugby guys, like, if they are listening, I would say please just give jiu-jitsu a chance, because you'll be surprised at how well you do. I mean, Jack Axley is just a phenomenal athlete, and I don't want to make his head too big, but for him to transition over into jiu-jitsu, and I know he's still active in rugby as well, but for him to transition over into jiu-jitsu, and he brings that professional coaching that he's obviously got from rugby into jiu-jitsu, you can see how he soaks the knowledge up from coaching in a far different way than most athletes.
I think because he's got that knowledge of coaching, and when you become a student as well, you're kind of like, you're sitting on the other side, but I don't know if he's probably able to break things down a lot easier and absorb it a lot easier as well, and have his own ways of going through the motions, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because as a coach, you're always having to be a couple of steps ahead of your students.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And again, that's what you do so well at. Yeah.
Is a cat.
And well, jiu-jitsu itself, innit? You've got to be more than a couple of steps ahead of your opponent.
Yeah, 100%. It's cat and mouse, isn't it? It's sometimes there are odd days where the students get the best of you. But it shows that your coaching skills are developing and they're getting better. So, once you transitioned into, because it was MMA initially, it wasn't just solely jiu-jitsu, was it?
Yeah, we went into MMA. I know you brought me on a podcast, but this was a journey that me and you went through together. You know what I mean? We did a lot of things together. So, yeah, we started off in MMA, and we were going through all the disciplines, whether it be K1, jiu-jitsu, boxing, and we had some good level coaches down at Pro Systems. And there were some good guys that were coming through. And then you had the mixed martial arts that were just bringing it all together.
Yeah.
But again, and this is what I struggle with now. I'm 32 now, and I think we started off back in 2014.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. 2014.
And going back then, and this is what I struggle with, like the new guys coming through today, and respect to them. Like, we were young, we were hungry, we weren't even married, we didn't have any responsibility, so we were able to give our time to just training.
Yeah.
I remember I was doing a Doughty apprenticeship at the time, and I finished at 4 o'clock, and straight away come home from work, and everything, like, I remember my dad and mum would make sure, like, you read your salah, your prayers first before you go off and train. That was number one priority. And at the end, it's our identity as well. Without that, we wouldn't find success in anything that we do.
100%.
But literally come home, do what I needed to do. We'd meet up at a gym nation, get a strength and conditioning session in, and then we'd go 2 hours at Pro Systems. And was that 7 till 9?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
And that was like Monday to Friday, and then Saturday morning we'd do open mat. But it was amazing because, again, back then we had nothing, no responsibilities. We were still living at home, whether we were working or studying at the time, and we were able to give time to the graft. And then, so after a couple of years being at Pro Systems, I don't want to get into the political side, because I've got a lot of respect for all my coaches. Each and every one of them has played like a real important role in developing me. Not just into like a mixed martial artist or jiu-jitsu player, but just in the way I present myself or hold myself. But yeah, following on from that, we had, I can't remember, when was my debut?
Oh man, I feel like it was sometime in 2015, and it was probably the end of summer going into winter.
The
Around September.
the only thing I can relate to, I can't remember the exact date because it was a horrible day to remember. But the night before that, we went to watch Fast and Furious.
Yeah, you're right. Number 5?
The one when Paul Walker dies.
Oh, no, I think that was like 6 or 7.
Is that with Jason Statham?
Yeah.
So so what year was that? 2015?
I think it was 2015.
But yeah, anyway,
Was it the year we went to LA?
I think it was.
Yeah, 2015.
Because my elbow was still busted up.
Yeah. It was. So actually,
I was still trying to make a comeback.
It was probably summertime.
Yeah.
It was summertime when you competed because we went LA in September.
So yeah, couple of years at Pro Systems, and this is what I would tell anybody looking to get into MMA. It's not quite like boxing, and boxing's its own discipline in itself. But with mixed martial arts, there are so many disciplines, and I will learn from my mistake. There are so many disciplines that you have to learn, and it's not just learning them individually; it's bringing them together. And one of my all-time favorite MMA fighters, George St. Pierre, he was one of them who could bring it all together very well.
Yeah.
You know, he's probably the one person that got me into jiu-jitsu.
100%.
And till today, if he was still competing, he'll be the welterweight champion.
Yeah.
But and I felt like I kind of rushed into that fight. But being young, keen, having an ego, you know, you think you're ready, but you're not quite ready. And I think I probably needed a bit more time because I knew nothing. The only background I had with me was boxing.
Yeah.
You know, and like yourself, that was our background, wasn't it? From a younger age. But with with mixed martial arts is you have to give time to each discipline and also give time to actually bringing it all together. And that's where it's amazing having your individual coaches for certain disciplines, but then you do need that one coach to bring it all together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had my it was my debut MMA fight, really. It was, and again, it was a fight up in Stoke-on-Trent. Again, I don't want to get into the political side, but I was matched with one of their homegrown talents. And the fight was going well. The fight was going well. And from looking back at the video footage, like I felt like I was the fight that was on the front foot, putting the pressure on. But unfortunately, it doesn't always go your way. And it's amazing how much you can train for a fight and build that fight cardio. But when you're in front of a crowd, you know, your shoulders are heavy, your heart's sinking, that cardio can all just disappear. It can all just disappear.
I feel like that fight, the first round you clearly won because I feel like the striking was there. You ended up on top at the end of the round in mount. And then obviously the second round, it was just a freak moment. No one could have predicted that.
No.
And just to clarify, it was a judo attempt, a judo throw, and you reached for the ground on the floor and you popped your elbow out.
So I didn't break full. So I posted, yes, at the beginning of the second round. Again, I fought against a very good judo athlete, and he just managed to catch me in a nice takedown. I can't even remember what it was. It was a trip, but I can't remember what exactly it was. But and this is what I mean about probably being so young and the lack of maturity at the time of bringing it all together. And breakfall is one of those things that, you know, you drill. It's a foundation. Yeah. And I know every single gym that I've been to is something that they emphasize on. You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, because I didn't break fall properly, I dislocated my arm. And I didn't even know I had done it at the time. Yeah. Until I heard the reaction of the crowd, and then I looked at my arm, and it was literally just my left arm was hanging off The only thing that was holding it together was the skin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a clean break though, wasn't it?
Yeah. It
I
was
wasn't a break. It was a clean dislocation.
yeah, it was a clean pop. And then from that moment onwards, I mean, my mum was obviously, she was really down, really upset, and she didn't want me to fight no more. So it was a lot of, like, my dad was always been one of my biggest supporters in whatever sport I do, and also my mum. But my mum, you know, she never liked the idea of us growing up and competing in sport where we'd be getting smacked in the face or hit in the face.
I think that's most mums.
Most mums though, innit? But I think, you know, for us as well, again, Islam, religion comes into it. Because if you can try and find a different avenue in life where you can make money, then it's better than going down that route. But like I mentioned before, you know, some brothers, like you look at the Dagestani brothers, they come from, they know nothing else but fighting, and it's their survival instincts. And other third world countries, and that's their only way out, unfortunately. So Islam teaches us to, if you can avoid violence through making money, then that's the best way.
Yeah, and just avoid violence altogether.
Altogether, right? Isn't it? Yeah. But then, following on from that incident, I decided that I would keep my mum happy. I'd stop competing in mixed martial arts, and I'm putting my entire focus on jiu-jitsu and just grappling. I was then we moved over together down to Trojan.
Yeah.
And Paul Sutherland, a good coach, real good coach. He's had a lot of success, and you can see it at current, not just with his pro fighters, but with his youngsters coming through.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been out of touch. I keep training all the time. Even though, like, I have gaps in my training and I'm inconsistent, but I try and keep one foot in the door. But like I just went on Trojan's social media the other day, and I remember when he was at Trojan, Paul's boy Aaron,
yeah.
He was just a little kid, but now when I see him, man, he's stacked.
Yeah. And
you can see he's just a mirror of his dad, and his dad's probably, you know, wants to make sure that he's going to be better than him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%.
And but it's amazing to see, like, because when we were there, they were all kids, and how much they've excelled. And again, like, you know, Gloucester's full of like MMA pioneers and good MMA pioneers and good level coaches. And you've got Mark Weir as well, and they've all come from good solid ground roots. And anybody who's under them, they're taking them to like a good level, and they're teaching them teaching them like the correct path to take within that MMA industry.
100%.
Because again, you see Tyson, Christian.
Yeah.
You know him as Tyson.
We know him as Tyson,
He looks like Mike Tyson, who used to play basketball with him back in the day. But you look at Christian, and I think when I look at Christian and his UFC career, he's probably like one of the fighters in UFC that doesn't make a lot of noise. And through not making a lot of noise, the amount of success that he's found within the industry is absolutely amazing. Like, alhamdulillah, God bless. But Tyson's always been a quiet kid, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's never been really outspoken.
Yeah. I just touching back on the path of MMA to jiu-jitsu. Was there ever, like, I guess it's a two-part question. One, it's never really a loss at amateur, you learn.
You learn, yeah.
So what was it you learned from that fight? And two, is there ever a feeling where you're like, I could go back, I could try this again? Is there like an itch?
For me, from a learning perspective, is not rushing into it. Not rushing into it and giving it time. You have to give the sport the respect, otherwise it will eat you up. It will eat you up. It did it to me in my first fight. And would I go back to it now? I don't think I could ever go back to it at this current present stage. If my mum was happy for me to carry on competing, then most likely I would have. But I was only able to go back to jiu-jitsu.
So, just to clarify, it's more because of the responsibility you hold as, you know, someone that's a Muslim, a father, a husband, a family man, opposed to the ambition to go back and compete.
At this current stage, yes.
Yeah.
If I turn back the clocks, like go back 10 years, because I speak to guys at work about it, like going back 10 years ago, you know, we were traveling. You were in New York. I did a couple of fight camps out in Singapore.
Oh yeah.
And it was just, I do miss it. But would I change anything that I have now for that? No. Because I'm happy.
Yeah.
Even though I'm busy, you know, we've always got a lot going on. But you know, alhamdulillah, I got a good wife and I got a beautiful child.
But I feel like these things, they serve a purpose, don't they? Yeah. Regardless if you carry on as an amateur fighter, regardless if you turn pro and you carry on as that as your career, it serves a purpose for that point of time where you tried something and your priorities didn't weigh out the pursuit of that thing. But off the back of that, you then found a home in jiu-jitsu, and you found something that you was passionate in. You know, of the many disciplines you learned through MMA, it was like, actually, no, I can step away from this, but I will continue doing this. So everything, you know, serves a purpose, and actually you still benefited from that journey.
Yeah, 100%. I think with whatever I learned early on in my MMA career, I was able to bring that with me. I mean, I'm not an active jiu-jitsu fighter or actively training in jiu-jitsu at the moment, but it was able to give me the success at early stage within jiu-jitsu. 100%. Like, even when coming over to Trojan with it, being under Paul, and we had Andy Costello at the time, and then from there onwards, like moving over to Gracie Barra as well. Like it's given me the skills to bring into jiu-jitsu, if you know what I mean. But then the game's forever changing.
Yeah.
You know, like the game is forever changing, and different coaches, they've got their own game plans and skill set. You know, I can't say I've had one coach that teaches the same way.
Yeah.
So, which is a benefit, because you're picking. Like I remember with being from Paul, because Paul was predominantly mixed martial arts. Like the grappling game and the nogi game was very strong. You know.
Yeah.
We used to drill the underhooks, you know, quite a lot back when we was at Trojan, and that's how we used to like keep controlling stuff. But that was just because Paul's background was mixed martial arts, and he was able to bring that into jiu-jitsu, and I remember like you open mats around different clubs, the underhook game would always work. It would always work. But then as the sports evolve, different things, you know, you find something different that will work and overcome whatever you was taught.
I think that's the beauty, because touching on Paul Sutherland at Children Free Fighters Gloucester, he phenomenal coach. He's got huge success with his juniors, with his amateurs, with his professional fighters. You know, I think one of the things I loved about Paul is he talks very little, but he does a lot. And I found, of all the classes, his K1 was like...
But that was his background, wasn't it?
It was by far the best. And it was hard to keep up with the demand, because you have to be so fit when you're throwing combinations like that. Paul,
very light on his feet.
Very light on his feet. But again, like, you know, and I wasn't going to mention this, but then actually going back to our time at Trojan, it's funny because when you dislocated your elbow, a couple of months later, I dislocated my elbow.
Mirror, literally. Accident,
at Trojan, I was drilling throws with Paul. Obviously he's a little bit shorter than me, And I think he got the Uchimata on me, and I stuck my arm out to break my fall, and it just cogged back, man. And I remember the paramedics came and they were talking about cutting off my gi, and then I kicked off. But on the grappling side of things, again, 100%. Like I think we're very blessed in the sense of, like you said, there's so many MMA pioneers in this county that you can learn so much from each and every one of them and create your own game. There's a knee bar that Paul taught, and still to this day I use it and I teach it. And I've never stressed the importance of an underhook as much as I do because of the way Paul taught it.
Yeah.
And yeah, those were some great times, and like, you know, having the privilege to train with like the likes of Greg Summers, Chris Arsley, Lawrence Tracy, the Figlack brothers.
Shay was there for
a little bit.
Yeah.
Matt Ewan was there for a little bit as well. And yeah, it was just it was a privilege just to be able to train with those guys.
100%.
And then obviously under the guidance of Andy and Luke Costello, that again, a black belt judo, black belt jiu-jitsu, which they were the first people I ever heard black belt judo and jiu-jitsu.
And within the Gracie Barra as well. They brought that lineage with them, didn't they?
Yeah.
But they were big guys, man.
Yeah.
Big guys.
Very big guys. Yeah. And Andy was a former police officer. Then I know from obviously from just knowing you, I know that like obviously COVID hit, and it was a little bit before then, like before you decided like MMA wasn't for you, and you know you had certain conversations with Paul. And you just wanted to focus on jiu-jitsu, so you transitioned over to Gracie Barra.
So I think with that was, because I love, sometimes, you know, you do regret, you do have regrets, but I think it was the right move for me at the time, because we both spoke about it, didn't we? Because we were just, our main focus was jiu-jitsu, and we had joined the police. And Gracie Barra at the time had more to offer, just in terms of like training sessions, and again like a very, very good high level club. And when we joined, unfortunately, a couple of months after COVID hit, but when I look back to my days at Gracie Barra, I thoroughly enjoyed. I competed for them once, and like Chris as a coach, unbelievable. From a jiu-jitsu perspective, one of the best coaches I've had, one of the best coaches I've had. Like the way he breaks everything down, and the importance of like his top pressure game and breathing as well. Yeah. Just played such a important role into any movement, and like especially trying to dominate that top pressure game. It was just unbelievable. And then even I remember when COVID hit and everybody was trying to figure out, how the hell are we going to train? How are we going to train? And then Chris came up with Chris is like an open book, and he's written books in it, and he studied a lot of martial arts. And I remember just coming into the gym, and we had to book our spaces, and I think there's only 6 people at a time in the class, and all it was like tape on the floor. And Chris, forgive me if I'm wrong, but and it was literally tape on the floor like a stick man. Yeah. And that's how we were like just drilling. And the whole point during COVID, we weren't allowed to obviously roll with one another, but it was just staying active, wasn't it? And I've realised how much you can lose in a short amount of time without staying active, because I mean, I took gaps in my training when I got married. I took gaps in my training when I went on my firearms course. Took gaps in my training when Hannah was born, and then after when we bought the second house. And that one thing, again, like I say, whichever gym I went to, they taught us the importance of like your solid core foundations. And that's one thing I always tried to keep when I had gaps in my game, was going back to the foundations to help me get through whoever I was rolling with at the time. Yeah. And but I realised like within this current era of whether it be martial arts or jiu-jitsu, and I noticed it when I left Gracie Barra, took a break from training altogether, and then moved over to Chris's place in Cheltenham Virtus. Like how much, and this is the same with Paul's students, how much the guys and girls are excelling. Because back when we started, and others around us, we just go to the gym and that was our main focus. But it's amazing how much there is on social media now.
Yeah.
And then you can pick up.
Yeah.
So you're never really switching off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
But that's no disrespect to the coaches, because the coaches are putting in a lot more time and effort. But their students are putting in the time outside of the gym at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's what I've struggled with, because when I took gaps and walked away, I never stayed active. But when I was able to go back, the cardio wasn't quite there. But that's just like, we spoke about this, it's sparring, it's mat time, brushing off the rust. But what I was able to what was able to hold me was my core solid foundations from what I learned from probably day one. And just keep drilling.
100%. 100%.
I think the one thing I learned from Chris was, and I think this is what, because Chris gave me my purple belt. I got my blue belt from Paul and Andy, and Chris gave me my purple belt. And it was funny because I remember when I went back to the jiu-jitsu, Chris said to me, "You're not supposed to give up as a purple belt. You're allowed that blue belt, but purple belt, that's when you take it to the next level." But one thing I learned with Chris was slowing down my game, like using my strength and size to my advantage, and holding that top pressure game as well. Because I love passing the guard, like leg drag to one side control, and putting that pressure, like working on that top pressure game from there. And then I remember a couple of times I've rolled with Connor, even Fred, like side control is where I feel most comfortable. And then like my game is like I like the Kimura. Yeah. And like certain people, like I tell them this is what I'm gonna hit you with, and I do it. And I remember when I competed at CompNet, you said, "Hass, what's the game plan?" And I said to you, "What you feeling?" And I was like, "I'd like to submit him with a Kimura," and that's what I did in the end. Yeah. But that was gone back in 2022. But I did say, and I remember saying to you, like when Hannah was born, my daughter was born, it humbled me, and I lost my motivation. And even though going back in my younger days, I spent a lot of money, traveled the world, and invested a lot of time into myself. When Hannah was born, it humbled me a lot, because I lost that drive to compete. I lost the drive to compete. And then I think that's probably why I lost that will to train. Because I remember for me to get back into training, and I think a lot of runners do this, and that's how they stay active. One of our colleagues, Matty Hodgson, elite athlete, hybrid athlete, and he's constantly doing half marathons. I know he's training for a triathlon right now. But when he signs up to these events, it means he has to keep his relevant training. And obviously he's continuously improving. But I think with me, what went wrong was, number one, I lost that hunger, I lost that drive. But I always needed a competition to get me back into competing. And then I'll do like a solid 6-week camp. And then, just hope for the best at competition, do you know what I mean? But right now,
do you think you've got to the stage where competing, because I feel like I switch between the two. I think, do you feel like you're at the stage now where competing is no longer what you're pursuing or the ambition? It's more so the core root of martial arts to be able to improve oneself?
For me, it will be the latter. It's staying relevant within the sport, you know, carrying yourself as a mixed martial artist, you know, having that discipline. But you got to be training.
Yeah.
You can't just be inactive. And that's, unfortunately for me, that's how I've been as of recent. And it's not that, you know, part of me, like I see, like I go into Virtus, when I left Gracie Barra, had a break and go into Virtus, I see some of the guys that Chris has brought from Gracie over to the Virtus, and, you know, I was like, the belts don't mean nothing, you know, and we've always been taught that.
Yeah, it's just fabric.
It's just fabric, isn't it? But seeing how Chris has developed, and themselves, how they developed their game in a spell of 1 or 2 years, it's a very short amount of time. It's a very short amount of time. But when I went to Virtus and I seen like a couple of the guys, or quite a few of the guys that I was rolling with from Gracie Barra, when they started on the bottom floor and we were on the top floor, and then slowly they came up on the top floor. But then they were still early on in their jiu-jitsu journeys. But how Chris has taken them to the next level, because when you go to that gym, though, everybody's competing.
Yeah.
You go walk in the gym and Chris has got a tally of how many medals has the club has got, and he's literally got the competition dates listed on the whiteboard, and the guys are going to the comps and they are clearing up. Yeah. Which is amazing to see. Amazing to see. But yeah, I mean, as of recent, Chris is still my current coach, but I've stepped away from it altogether. Yeah. And for me, and I had this conversation with Chris, and it was a tough conversation to have, and, you know, I've got so much going on in life at the moment, not negative things, positive things, that I just got to put my main focus and priority on those things. Yeah. And I remember we had this conversation going back a couple of months ago, and you said to me, Hass, I'm thinking about competing again. And I said to you, Ad, like, what have we got to prove? You know, and we spoke about like this new generation that's coming through and those who are active. We would have to be active for a very long time to get back to that level, because there are guys who are competing, you know, on a regular basis. Even though we can hold our own, no matter what, we never back down. But I just find this new generation, with the amount of, you know, the good coaches around you and the material that's available out there, you know, the guys and the girls are just excelling at a different rate. Yeah. Would you agree with me?
100%. Yeah. I think like in our time it was like pre-Reebok deal with the UFC. Yeah. People weren't sure what jiu-jitsu was. People were.
It was new to us. We never heard of it.
I feel like people thought Brazilian jiu-jitsu was capoeira.
I think the only thing I could relate to Brazilian jiu-jitsu was Chico Mendes, but I had never seen the guy before. Yeah. It was just a name that was. Yeah.
But I feel like during that time we were quite limited to knowledge and to resources. Yeah. And the game it wasn't that it wasn't developed, it was just that it was still a niche to do MMA, to do jiu-jitsu. It was very like, oh, what's that? And now, like, because the UFC's become like a global phenomenon, and jiu-jitsu is very commercial now. Like, you could say to a random person down the street, oh, I do jiu-jitsu, and they would be like, oh yeah, that's cool.
You don't have to be a fighter to train it.
Yeah, and I feel like now this generation of fighters coming through are sport in terms of choice of gyms, of coaches, of, you know, knowledge they can find online, and I think that gives them the head start that we probably didn't have when we started our journey.
I found jiu-jitsu actually didn't have the respect.
No, it didn't.
That it has right now.
Yeah, it didn't. It definitely didn't. Because for me, like,
I mean, we used to go to the classes and there would be no more than a handful.
Yeah, I mean, people. Like 4, 6.
Yeah, but nowadays you walk into like jiu-jitsu gyms and there's no mat space.
Yeah.
There is no mat space.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I mean, like, this is the thing as well. Like, we started with Antanas for like a year or so, and traditional checkmat jiu-jitsu very, very focused on foundation, core sort of stuff in jiu-jitsu.
No leg locks.
No leg locks, none of that,
Yeah.
none of the dark arts, just the traditional good stuff. And then obviously with Paul, it was like the Nogi game, the MMA sort of.
I found with Paul, he brought that grappling into our jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it wasn't just jiu-jitsu, it was grappling,
Yeah.
it was wrestling, it was judo, it was like all the things that make up an MMA fighter. And now you obviously got people are crazy for the leg lock game. You know, there's all this funky stuff you can do. And it's like
planet shit.
Like that was like, again, that was a niche within a niche back in the day. Like not many people even knew about Eddie Bravo.
I mean, we know like 10th Planet never got the respect from like traditional jiu-jitsu players because it was all Nogi. And they never used to train in gi.
But it's funny because it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like jiu-jitsu is such a long journey, like it could take you up to 10 years to get your black belt. And I feel like people now jump in the game and think just because they submitted so-and-so, or whatever the thing is with their mindset, they automatically bypass the time you have to give. And it don't work like that. Jiu-jitsu is one of those, I believe it's a personal journey, and it's a journey about developing oneself. And I believe that any given day, a white belt can tap a black belt.
100%. I've been humbled again, and this is training under Chris, and I've been humbled by many of his jiu-jitsu players who are belts lower than me. But that's because they've put in the time. They've given us the sport the respect it deserves. You can't just expect to just turn up, train, even if you're a higher belt, and still be able to hold that level if you're not actively training. And so like we're saying, that the belts, it's just a bit of fabric. It doesn't mean anything. And with any martial arts discipline that you do, you have to give it you have to give it the time. You have to give it the respect. Otherwise, you ain't progressing. You ain't gonna develop. And even like within the sport itself is developing. You know, new techniques, new ways of doing things. This encyclopedia out there nowadays.
I know people even have a game which, like, it blows my mind, but people have a game all around pulling guard, which was like forbidden to do. You never pull guard, but each to their own. I wanted to ask you about like archery. I know you've done it from a young kid and it's more relevant now in your life, but again, how does, from someone that's come from a boxing background into jiu-jitsu and then like reconnected with your archery, like, I know you briefly touched on it about how it gives you clarity and it's really good for the soul in essence, but do you feel there's something in archery that can also embrace your martial arts?
I think like with jiu-jitsu, and this is going back from the early day, whenever I used to step foot on the mat, I should go in there with a clear head. And sometimes, after like a hectic day, it's what you need. But I know with the stresses of work, and being on firearms officer, the amount of courses and training that I have to do, that as of recent, archery is probably one of the only things that clears my head and just gives me that focus and direction. Whereas with jiu-jitsu, as of recent, my mind's still busy elsewhere. If you know what I mean. But that's how I feel with archery. And with archery, it's just picking up a bow, and how you become a good archer. Like the greatest archers in Islam, how they used to train was they used to literally stand probably less than a meter away from the target, and they would just shoot 100 arrows, reps after reps at a small time. Obviously, we do this because we got it off your dad as well, and Uncle Faz, and that's how they became like great archers, elite level archers. and they were able to take that with them on the battlefield. But I find both archery, I think my dad tells me this, my father-in-law tells me this, they both go hand in hand because of our identity as a Muslim first, and the fact that it's a sunnah sport, and that's, you know, it gives us, so it's the importance of, like, we have to stay relevant. You shouldn't just walk away from it. You know, it's actually a sin to walk away from archery because it was that sacred of a sport. And this is what I need to get my jiu-jitsu game back to.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Like, I've, you know, alhamdulillah, like I've given a lot of years to it, and I've got gaps in my training, but I don't think I'll be being fair on myself right now if I was to say that I'm done. Yes, I've lost the love for the sport at the moment, and I need to try and find that love again.
Yeah.
Whether it be just that mat time.
Yeah.
And trying to find myself again. I mean, I joked with Mariam about going back over to Singapore.
Yeah, to evolve.
To evolve MMA, and just like having a week or 2 week camp out there just to get me back to where I once was.
People do that though. Like, a lot of guys head over to Thailand, it's like the big one with Tiger Muay Thai. But they do grappling camps out there as well, and they kind of, you know, reignite that sort of
that fire,
that passion. And credit to you though, I don't think it's so much that jiu-jitsu has made you lose the passion for jiu-jitsu. I feel like life and responsibility has overtaken that passion. So where you want to be at jiu-jitsu, your headspace just doesn't have it there. And I think that's why there's the passions like, I'm here, but I'm not really here because actually I need to do X, Y, Z at home. And again, I don't think that's something that it's exclusive to you. I feel like there's probably a lot of full-time workers, fathers, mothers, that, you know, their responsibilities just crush them. And where they want to invest in their passions, they can't prioritize at that time.
100%. But I think for me and you, because we've, you know, growing up, like, and our family background, you know, our family, our uncles or great uncles, they've always been fond of the martial arts. So it was kind of like, if you're a boy in the Patel family, then you will be training in some sort of combat sport. And so there's that. There's that pressure, but also, like, as a father right now, and I think this is what will bring me back into the sport. And again, it's the same for you, is putting that time into our kids and developing them. Because as soon as Hannah can put on a gi, like I know Mariam's not too fond of it, but I'd love to get her into jiu-jitsu, but she needs to know that her dad is also training in this sport, that I'm not just taking that and sitting on the sidelines and watching. And the other thing is when we train for a reason, because we wanted to be looked at as a martial artist, and I'm far from that, you know, far from that. Whereas other people just do it for a hobby, or just an activity or an exercise. And I can't just let everything I learn just fall away, if you know what I mean.
100%.
So inshallah, you know, I will come back. I don't want to compete. I just want to train, but I want to give it the time that it deserves. Like back in the day when I was doing 2-3 sessions a week. I mean, I can't train every night now. It wouldn't be fair on the family, but
I don't think any of us can.
But like that two session a week and the open mat, and right now I just can't give that.
I don't think that's fair, because obviously there's priorities in life and you just got to balance them. There's a few questions I want to ask you before we sign off, but one in being which, do you think it's slightly different in your role in the police, because obviously you're a firearms officer and you're predominantly trying to keep range opposed to close combat.
Yeah.
But do you think there's a place for, and not just specifically for firearms officers, but police officers in general, do you think there's a place for jiu-jitsu within the police?
100%. I think with obviously the public's perception as well, you know, a kick or a strike, it never looks good in the public eye. But knowing how to control somebody through grappling always looks better in the public's eye. I mean, alhamdulillah, with all the experiences that I have got, whether it be little or loads, I've never had to use it within the police. Even whilst I was a PC before I became a firearms officer, because I always try to communicate with an individual rather than use force. But we try and police by consent, don't we? Unfortunately, you see things on the social media, but I try and just stick to what I know, and that's it.
But I feel like even that in itself, like martial arts gives you the clarity to think before you act.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So that plays a part in communicating before getting hands on.
You a lot more self-composed and that discipline, and a lot more calmer because, you know, through competing or sparring, you're in uncontrolled environments, aren't you? That you're trying to control, whether your opponent gets the better of you. So it does have a big part to play within the police, and hopefully, like during officer safety training, they can start implementing certain techniques, whether it just be like the arm drag or an underhook, just to get a control of whoever a subject you're dealing with at the moment. But then this is where it brings me onto my firearms career now. But I'm very early on in my firearms career, and I'm still developing. But from a tactical point of view, like from a firearms perspective, we're always taught time and space. If anything, I joke about this with Matty, and like we're the biggest pussies because we turn up to, I won't go into too much detail, but we'll turn up to like a high level threat incident, and our biggest friend is time and space. We don't want to get close to the subject, and we don't allow the subject to get close to us, and we control everything from a distance. So I've never really had to use any form of martial artists, any form of martial arts that I've learned within the police. And I honestly can't remember. And I think it's because, like, again, communication and being self-composed and disciplined, and then moving on to the firearms side of things, like we're carrying a lot more personal protective equipment, whether it be a Glock or a taser, and even our body armors. It's like, you know, when we train in a gi and somebody's got hold of you, well, if you've got all this kit on you and a subject's got hold of you, it's very difficult. It is very difficult. And the only thing I can actually relate to where I've had to use it is probably through training, because, you know, you've got to train hard and fight easy. And every 10 weeks as a firearms officer, we will train, because there's a level of professionalism that is expected of us. And that's not with any police officer. But we were doing some officer safety training to a point where subjects managed to get hold of your gun, is in close proximity with you, or is trying to get hold of your gun. And at that point, it's that fight or flight, isn't it? And you've got to be able to justify whatever actions, whether you draw your taser or your Glock. And I think that's the first time I've ever had to kind of use any form of jiu-jitsu or grappling.
Out of curiosity, what would you do if someone managed...
So from the scenario that happened to me, somebody approached me on my right leg and tried to get hold of my Glock. So immediately I clamped down on my Glock to prevent them withdrawing it. And then just try and get them in some sort of entanglement. And hips plays a big part within jiu-jitsu, judo, grappling. So I was able to get them up on my hips and flip them. But it was quite a funny one, because after I flipped them, I landed on the floor, and then another subject approached me. So I kind of, at that point, had to draw and gain control. And fight from a distance, because now I've got 2-on-1. But I think it's great, because it does, not from a physical point of view, but I just think martial arts is great because, again, it teaches you that professionalism, to stay self-composed and disciplined, and just holding yourself as an individual. Obviously we have our religion and our identity, but martial arts also plays a major role in our lives as well.
100%, like the confidence it builds. I feel like that in itself, like the martial arts aspect, where you haven't had to use any form of grappling within your career as a police officer, shows that, you know, martial arts works because you can stay so composed, so disciplined, and be able to communicate because you don't want it to get physical. It's testament. I feel like anyone that works in any form of law enforcement should definitely undertake some form of martial arts for that discipline, opposed to, you know, the physical aspect.
It's just I think self-confidence in itself, if it can teach you that, then that's the biggest thing you can take away from it.
I mean, the first time I walked into a jiu-jitsu gym, the time I transitioned from Pro Systems to, tell a lie, Pro Systems to Trojan, and then from Trojan I stopped doing MMA and went to Range with Ali Mason, my professor.
Another good coach.
Great coach, the best, in my opinion. The Southwest, the best black belt there is, and one of the first as well, under Bradley or Estima. But the first time I walked into that gym is when I did jiu-jitsu properly, from the perspective of this is what I am just doing from now on. And the first person I rode with was a girl that was probably about 5'2" and half my weight. Her name's Siobhan Barnes, if I'm correct. And she I thought, oh, I've got this, I've got it in the bag, like, it's gonna be alright. She double leg takedowns me. I've got skinny legs, so that worked in her favour. She then took my back and tapped me out in a rear naked within 20 seconds, if that. And I thought, okay, there's a lot more to this than size, etc. And she's a black belt now, and she's in the fire service in Canada. But my point being is that, like, even from a female perspective, they tend to be like, you look at Fifion Davis, the Welsh black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the first world champion in Britain in Jiu-Jitsu was a female fighter, and they tend to be like the best competitors.
Well, I agree with you in that sense, because when I look at Virtus and Chris, and he's got quite a few female athletes underneath him, and half the size of a lot of the male athletes, and no word of a lie, you know, they're twisting the guys up. And that's because what Chris will do as well is he will encourage you to progress your game, and he'll build your like individual game to progress further. And because there's quite a lot of guys there, so what he will teach the females to overcome like the big, taller, dominant male, you know what I mean?
100%, but I just feel like they do so well at it as well, because I feel like
they have to really nail down the technique.
Exactly, that's what I was trying to get at.
You're like your big, dominant, tall male athlete, you know, they will utilize that strength, and sometimes they will use strength over technique, whereas the girls, they're very, very technical and very thorough with their technique, and technique beats strength all the time.
All day.
Not just for the females, but like
just in general.
The smaller competitive athletes. You know, like I mean, Chris is. I'm a lot bigger than Chris, but Chris is a black belt, obviously. And he will twist like the bigger, taller, dominant male, like, no matter how strong or big they are. It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
No, I completely agree with you.
And his top pressure game is unbelievable. Like when he sits on me, it's like two of me on me. Do you know what I mean?
100%. No, I completely agree. I feel like a lot of the smaller guys, and this is as well as the females, they have to be clean in their technique because they can't use the brute force to their advantage. And I think that's why they do so well at jiu-jitsu, is because they hone in on the technique opposed to their physical attributes. And you know, it pays off so well. So one question I ask all my guests before we sign off is, you know, through your experience, through life, and you know everything you've gone through your sporting careers, through just life in general, what is like one thing you hold, or one thing that you kind of live by, but you would share with another person that could potentially influence or encourage in any form or aspect?
I think for me it would be the mistakes that I've made, and it would be staying consistent. To develop in anything, you have to stay consistent. Obviously, I've had certain rules and responsibilities in the way, but I don't feel like they should have ever been an excuse to get in the way of my training, because I was still able to go to the gym and hit the weights, but maybe I should have given more time to mixed martial arts and jiu-jitsu other than that.
Yeah, consistency, man.
Consistency is key, man.
Yeah.
You have to have it. You have to have it, and it's like with anything in life. If you're not consistent with it, then you know it's easy to fall. And fall hard.
Yeah, man. But no, that's great advice, because
it's I mean, simple and short and sweet.
100%. But you're completely right. Like, you know, in any aspects of life, if you're not consistent, then you'll fall short. Whether that be training, whether that be relationship, career, you know, religious obligations, whatever it is.
And it's all on you. It's all on you. You can't put the blame on anybody else. It's all on you.
No, great advice. Has, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Honestly, I mean, I wouldn't be here, or like, obviously, you know, growing up, you was always by my side, and you always encouraging me to do the right things, the good things in life. And a lot of things that we did together. We started our journeys together, whether it be mixed martial arts, married a week apart, kids a month apart, and joining the job at the same time.
Man.
So alhamdulillah, you know, got a lot of love for you, man.
Likewise, man. It's been a really interesting conversation, and
I don't think we've ever had a conversation like this.
No, we haven't, and like
we talk all the time. We talk all the time, don't we? You know what I mean?
But you know what? I think, you know, one thing that stuck out in this whole conversation, it is the topic of consistency. But I think what also is relevant and could appeal to other people is the fact that, you know, if you're thinking about martial arts, you could come from any background and step into martial arts, and actually, even when you step out of martial arts, it plays a big factor in so many aspects of your life.
100%.
And, you know, you're evident to that in terms of like how it affects your career, how it affects your relationships, how it enforces your religion. There's so much that I believe martial arts you've gained from and can apply to life.
And it's always there. Like our religion, you know, our religion is there 24/7. Martial arts is always there as well. Like, there's gyms everywhere. You know, on every single main road, whether it be Bristol Road, down Gloucester Town Centre, Southgate Street, wherever. There's gyms absolutely all over the place. So like, we're quite fortunate for a city like Gloucester. We're quite small, and we've got all these gyms. It's because we've got a lot of these MMA pioneers within Gloucester. You know what I mean?
No, thank you, Has. Thank you.
Good,
it's been a privilege, man.
All good.